Hey, Brooke.
Hey, that's right, guys. A lot of new developments around Hunter Biden. Let's start in Washington, where Hunter joined his mom and dad at the Kennedy Center honorees reception. There, he faced questions about House Republicans' plans to investigate him, as well as the New York Post's reporting on his personal laptop. But he reportedly did not answer. Hunter is already under investigation with reports that there is sufficient evidence to charge him with tax crimes and making a false statement to buy a gun. President Obama's former Attorney General Eric Holder was pressed on the potential for the president's son to be charged just yesterday. Listen.
The defendant should not be treated any more harshly because of who he is related to, should not be given breaks because of who he is or who he is related to. He should be treated as former President Trump, should be treated just like any other American citizen. If there is culpability, that person should be held liable for his or her acts.
And here in the Big Apple, the New York Post's cover highlighting a major Biden bombshell.
The FBI had come to Twitter and told them in their weekly meetings before the 2020 election to look out for a hacked materials, a hack and leak operation that they believed was going to be about Hunter Biden, and it was going to come in October. So, of course, when Twitter saw our story in October about Hunter Biden, they censored it immediately.
Now, those allegations coming from a sworn declaration from the former FBI's head of site security. Meanwhile, Twitter CEO Elon Musk teasing the release of more details from the social media platform on its handling of that story. Listen.
There appears to have been a double standard where Democrats were not censored and left causes were not censored, but right causes and Republicans were. And I think this is frankly obvious to anyone who uses Twitter without any expose of Twitter files. The behavior you'd expect from a company that is essentially a distillation of San Francisco politics.
Musk's comments over the weekend leading Republicans to call for investigations into Google and Facebook for similar practices. Guys, back to you.
Turn down for what?
Today is Monday, December 5th, 2022. Elon Musk starts the nuclear truth bombing from space, the release of the Twitter files, and much, much more. The smoking guns, ladies and gentlemen, are bringing down the regime as we know it. FBI met regularly with Twitter employees, and GOP vows to investigate bombshell revelations. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Let us begin. What if everything that you thought in the world around you was a lie? What if it was all fake? What if you lived inside of a clown world? What if the federal apparatuses that are designed to protect, first and foremost, the Constitution and your first right, were using the power, the awesome power of tech platforms to censor and suppress those rights upon which they swore to protect? What if you lived in a clown world? What if the people whose sole responsibility in life was to save and to safeguard your free speech were actively attempting to destroy free speech as we know it and to make state-authorized facts the only thing that you can know? What if these people acted so maliciously that they meddled and interfered inside of an election so harshly that they literally were able to determine the outcome for their preferred political party? What if? It's no longer a what if. It's no longer a question. This actually happened. And Elon Musk delivered the results this weekend. And as we will show you in the show, not only were these results purely damning and were the largest political scandal in my lifetime, largest presidential scandal ever, as they clearly show the party that gained power was actively suppressing information with the assistance of federal law enforcement in order to meddle in and to interfere in an election. They went on to win that election in large part due to that interference. We have the polling to show that. And more importantly, what if the apparatus that is set up to be protected by the First Amendment, the media apparatus, actively to this very day, is suppressing this information by not reporting on it. No articles in the New York Times, no articles in CNN, no articles in the Washington Post, no articles inside of corporate media about how corporate media assisted in the rigging of this process by not reporting these details out. It was their responsibility. The New York Post stands alone and was punished alone in their reporting of this, the bloody glove of our political landscape here in America. Bloody glove analogy, of course, used by the OJ analogy. OJ literally left a bloody glove with his DNA on it at the murder scene. There's the evidence. And much like what happened with the OJ trial, where they were able to create doubt and they were able to control narratives, this is happening now. So you know they're guilty because you didn't see any corporate press reporting on it this weekend. In case you wonder, in case you had any doubt further, if you lived inside of a clown world, here we go. Revealed tweets deleted by Twitter at the request of the Biden team appear to be photos of Hunter Biden smoking crack, as pressure mounts for president to explain what he knew and when. What did Joe Biden request to be deleted? Real photos of his real son, multiple cracks in these images, his ass crack, and then the crack he was smoking with his mouth. Joe Biden requested that a meme that was presented by and created by, presumably, James Wood, the legendary Hollywood actor, suppress his account. They deleted James Woods from Twitter because he shared a real photo of the president's son really smoking crack. No journalists shared these photos. No people protected by the Fourth Estate. No people protected by the First Amendment. No, and in fact, federal law enforcement assisted in this. It is truly the witch's kitchen of our time. The federal law enforcement apparatuses sworn to protect your First Amendment, colluding with big tech in order to destroy your First Amendment. The DNC and the Biden camp caught red-handed, ladies and gentlemen. And here's what Tucker had to say about it.
These documents show that, among other things, political officials in the Democratic National Committee were directing censorship at Twitter ahead of the 2020 election. One Twitter official wrote on October 24th, 2020, that he had received, quote, an additional report from the DNC. So the DNC was telling Twitter what to pull off the site, and Twitter was complying. Next morning, to prove it, a Twitter official confirmed the post had been deleted. I grabbed the first one, that Twitter employee wrote. Twitter is also following instructions directly from the Biden campaign in the final days of the presidential campaign. One of the documents proves that officials on the Biden team routinely directed Twitter to remove posts that reflected poorly on Joe Biden. Quote, more to review from the Biden team, read one internal email from a Twitter employee just days before the 2020 election. That email included a list of several Twitter accounts that had criticized Joe Biden. The reply, quote, handled. We just checked. Now, those accounts remain suspended today.
So who was the person who was suspending these accounts? Somebody that we've made mention of on this show many times. Someone named Vijaya Gadde. This is somebody who has photos with Hillary Clinton on her personal Instagram account. This is somebody who is a far left-wing activist. Twitter was used as a super PAC for the Democrat Party. It wasn't a social media platform. Vijaya Gadde being the person who actioned on the deletion of Donald Trump's Twitter account and the censorship of the Hunter Biden story. Would you have even had a January 6th were it not for Twitter's actions censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story? Polling shows that an entire 17.5% of Democrats would not have voted for Joe Biden had they known about his criminality and about his usage of the federal docket and position that he held to enrich his family. This is direct polling from the Media Research Center. That polling indicates that Joe Biden would have actually lost in a landslide if 17% of his base had not shown up to vote for him, if people were able to know about this October surprise. That is how we can directly reference that Twitter itself meddled so directly and so at the direction of the FBI through Vijaya Gadde, a far left-wing activist, the person fired on day one by Elon Musk. And here's why. Tucker Carlson covered it beautifully. Go.
Internally, Taibbi writes, quote, the decision was made at the highest levels of the company, but without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey, with former head of legal policy and trust Vijaya Gadde playing a key role. All suspected, now confirmed. Now, in public, Twitter and its many allies and the rest of the media claimed that the New York Post story violated the hacked materials policy that Twitter had on its books. But internally at Twitter, everyone understood that was just a pretext. The laptop had not been hacked, and it wasn't of Russian origin.
They understood it was a lie. So they were lying to you directly, and we know that because of Matt Taibbi, whose Twitter account went through an exhaustive, nearly 40-tweet thread on Friday night. I think that we have hundreds of thousands of retweets now. This may be the most popular Twitter thread in the history of Twitter. We'll put it up on the screen for you right now as we go through some of the major takeaways. We want you to be able to see it. Elon Musk says, let's go, pop the popcorn. Here are the Twitter files. Matt Taibbi, formerly of Rolling Stone, a highly accredited journalist, going through and talking about what we have inside of the documents he had been given by Elon Musk. So the Twitter files tell an incredible story of a company that started off with good intentions, free speech intentions, and was totally usurped and taken over by far left-wing apparatchiks. How did this happen? Well, people continued to ask for permission to delete, and by people I mean powerful people, ask for permission and requests to delete or take down content they disagreed with or content that they thought were damaging to their various vectors of power. Because Twitter is a far left-wing run company, there were many more access points for the left to do this. This makes perfect sense. Taibbi goes through that and then says that you get to a point now where Democrats and the DNC are literally actioning tweets they don't like. They're going through and demanding that memes get deleted, demanding that, like our boy, there you go, there's the email right there. More to review from the Biden team. Here, let's take down the account of Jared7891356 and Guy Squiggs. This is how paranoid these people are. These are Anon accounts. And the Team Biden is going through directly asking that these accounts get taken down. You can see it. There's the smoking gun for you right there. In case you're wondering what like needle dick, low testosterone energy these people have, they're going through and like demanding that Anon accounts get taken down for reposting or posting memes. ALX's account was taken down by posting a meme of Xi Jinping supporting Biden, Winnie the Pooh. Here we go. The breakdown of Twitter, of course, massive donators to Democrats, a Democrat super PAC. The resulting moderation decisions prove that high-level executives actioned accounts at the discretion of the Bidens and the DNC. So that's what happened on Friday. We learned that. Now, what happened with Hunter Biden's laptop story directly? Well, the takeaways is that they just winged it. That the FBI, and we know this, my sources absolutely know this, and we will present to you rock-solid evidence that the FBI was directly asking and prepping for the Hunter Biden laptop to drop and to get it censored on social media. Mark Zuckerberg directly said that the FBI was in contact about this. The FBI knew about the laptop because they'd had the laptop since 2019. The FBI had had the laptop for an entire 18 months. They knew its content, they knew it was real, and federal law enforcement stepped in order to meddle with and interfere in an election. The FBI was prepared for this laptop to drop. Brave people like Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon walked out and said so. They said this was going to happen. They prepped us for this Hunter Biden laptop story. And of course, the real journalists at the New York Post published it. So those are the major takeaways, ladies and gentlemen, from the actual laptop drop. What ended up happening was Twitter ended up censoring it without any evidence. They made up policies in coordination with federal law enforcement in order to get it censored. They then punished accounts that shared it, and they treated it like child pornography, according to one team member from Twitter. One team member from Twitter said it's extremely effed what we did. We were treating it essentially like some of the most vile and despicable material on the internet. Things that are plainly illegal, right? You go to jail for sharing or distributing child pornography. And Twitter was using this and the awesome powers of censorship at the discretion of the federal government and in harmony with their policies and at their direction, as we will prove to you in just one moment, to treat the Hunter Biden laptop story as weaponized illegal information. What happens when you realize that the world around you is fake? New CEO Elon Musk published a slew of tweets containing emails from Twitter executives involving the censoring of Hunter Biden laptop. Reading to you from the Daily Mail here. More to review from the Biden team, staffers, redacted correspondence, and deleted Twitter accounts at the discretion of the DNC and the Biden campaign, saying, handled, got it. They were working to censor you and to destroy your rights at the discretion of the government. We cannot say it again. He claims that these tweets were requestedly deleted by the DNC and actor James Wood. He shared a meme of Hunter Biden smoking crack. Just in case you're wondering, it's not just the bombshell stories about the true stories about Joe Biden's kid smoking crack and using the position of his father to get millions of dollars from the communist Chi-Coms and from every other evil regime around the world, Russia included. No. And you wonder why Joe Biden's so hard on Russia. Yeah. It's a PR tactic there, all right? It's a PR tactic. It's called softening and hardening, all right? You make sure that you're hardening against the potential attacks because Joe Biden has been bought and sold by the Russians. Joe Biden's been bought and sold by the communist Chinese. They know it, too. So here, ladies and gentlemen, is a meme that James Wood shared. It's a photo of Hunter Biden smoking crack. And they went after the memes as well. We often say the left can't meme on this program. They went after James Woods' meme. James Woods, legendary Hollywood actor. You know him, of course. Also a deeply based, incredible conservative. We encourage you to follow him. He's back on Twitter. He had this to say to Tucker about the DNC specifically coming after his memes. In case you wonder what they're truly scared of, less real report. Look, it's the memes. The memes make them terrified. This show is what they're scared the most of. Legendary James Woods had this to say to Tucker. Put a chill in your bones.
I can guarantee you one thing, more than anything else you'll ever hear in your life. I will be getting a lawyer. I will be suing the Democratic National Committee no matter what. Whether I win or lose, I am going to stand up for the rights that every American, not a so-called celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. I'm hardly recognizable anymore because my career has been destroyed by these very people. And I will sue, and I'm hoping other people will sue. And if it turns out there are a lot of us on this list where the DNC targeted us, and I will quote the immortal words of Joseph Welch when he attacked Joe McCarthy for the enemies list he had, at long last, sir, have you no shame?
Yes.
President Biden, all of your stocky little operatives in the DNC who have targeted American citizens, have you, Mr. President, have all of you at last no shame?
Yes! Yes! This is the energy that we need. God bless James Wood. He said he's going to get a lawyer and he's going to sue them into the Stone Age. He now sees the smoking gun documents that they were going after James Wood. Now, this is a very, very long, I don't know exactly which tweet it is, but we can pull up the document. We will show it to you on the screen right now. The document where the DNC directly requested James Wood's tweet be censored, his account be taken down. It's somewhere inside of this massive Twitter thread. I don't know. ALX probably knows which one it's on. And so, ladies and gentlemen, James Wood saying he's going to sue them into the Stone Age, and you should add from the DNC there. You should also add the DOJ and the FBI. In case you're wondering what a real coup looks like, when your government turns against you in order to assume power, when the government turns against the leader, a duly elected leader, in order to grab power for its own entities and organs, in case you're wondering what a deep state looks like, all these FBI agents, all this DOJ, these guys were working for Trump at the time. Yo, they were working for Donald Trump was their boss. The FBI is an executive order. It was done by the pen. It can be undone by the pen. Any president at any time could strike a pen to paper and could scratch out the FBI no longer exists, and the FBI would liquidate at that very moment or be absorbed by some other government entity. The FBI was acting in collusion with big tech against the sitting president, the duly elected president, Donald Trump, in order to meddle in the American election against Donald Trump. That is what an actual coup looks like. That's what a deep state looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, we now know that the FBI met regularly with Twitter ahead of the Hunter Biden laptop censorship. We cannot stress this enough. We've had many people call us over the weekend. We were at Mar-a-Lago. We had a couple meetings. We've had many people call us over the weekend to stress something that is very much missing from the Twitter files. And I find this very curious. Missing from the Twitter files is the direct federal involvement in the censorship of this story. And we want to present to you the argument and the evidence this morning and let you decide whether you think that this is an action by the federal government in order to censor this story, a true deep state. I mean, you could call it a coup. You could call it a hypothetical metaphor assassination. You know, this was them going after Donald Trump from the inside. In the context of PSYOP warfare, this was what we have experienced now. You have been the victim of a PSYOP assassination against truth and reality itself. These are the results, ladies and gentlemen. The FBI did meet regularly with Twitter. The FBI did ask regularly for Twitter to take down content. The FBI warned Twitter that there was going to be an October bombshell and that they should take major steps in order to censor it. We now know this. Have a look. Watch.
Former head of Twitter's safety department now claims that the FBI was coming to warn him at least once a week about a possible hack and leak operation involving Hunter.
I mean, the idea here is simply to come clean on everything that has happened in the past in order to have build public trust for the future. I think there will be more smoking guns because the obvious next question is, well, what happened after the election? That's probably the right thing for episode 2, is what happened after the election.
And it's been business as usual for Hunter Biden. He spent part of the weekend at Camp David, then celebrated Kennedy Center honorees, including George Clooney and U2. The night before this, New York Post cover hit newsstands. It says, Fed lies, Twitter's post ban based on FBI fib.
Whoa. Okay. So, what are we finding out now? Strangely absent inside of the Twitter leak files that were dropped was federal involvement in all of this. But what we are finding inside of the pretty furious reporting from Miranda Devine and there from Fox News' Peter Doocy is that actually the feds have a huge involvement in this. Miranda Devine, who broke the Hunter Biden laptop story and is the true authority on the Hunter Biden laptop, a friend of the show and the author of Laptop from Hell, was raging about the absence of the knowledge of federal interference in the election. She had this to say this weekend as it pertained to the FBI, directly insisting that Twitter be on the lookout for a very big story in October about the Bidens that could be rough-and disinformation. It's like they were prepared for this. How would they know? Oh, I got it. Because they had the laptop. They've been sitting on the laptop for years. Miranda Devine, go.
I've seen a sworn affidavit from Yoel Roth, the former head of Twitter's Trust and Safety. He was meeting every week before the election with FBI and other intelligence officials. They warned specifically of what they called a hack and leak operation, a dump of Russian disinformation. And Yoel Roth says that in those meetings he was told there was a, quote, rumour that it was about Hunter Biden. So they seeded that information with the social media giants, the FBI did, and that ensured that within hours of our story going live on October 14, 2020, 3 weeks before the election, it was censored. Now we're finding out a little bit more that there was discussion behind the scenes at Twitter, quite an active argument about whether this was a First Amendment problem. But the other interesting thing is how little Jack Dorsey was involved. He was obviously just blindsided, it seems, by the people under him who were intent on censoring this. And I think we have to point the figure, you mentioned him already, Jim Baker, Twitter's number one lawyer, who says he says their caution is warranted. Now, that's coming from your top lawyer. You're going to pay attention to it. He, of course, is former FBI general counsel, very much involved in the Russia collusion hoax.
So here is the information that we know. According to the Daily Mail, new information has emerged in the case of Twitter's censorship and suppression. The New York Post reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop in the lead up to the 2020 election. In a disclosure to the FEC, it was revealed that Twitter had weekly meetings with federal law enforcement, and that it was during one of those meetings that Twitter was told to watch out for a Russian disinformation drop. Former head of Twitter Trust and Safety, Yoel Roth, submitted a disclosure to the FEC, saying that the company had been warned by the FBI of a forthcoming Russian information dump. You can see that disclosure there. There's the signature. There is the document on your screen. This is Twitter's head of trust and safety saying, we absolutely met with the FBI weekly. It's there in black and white. These expectations of hack and leak operations were discussed throughout 2020, and we learned these meetings that were rumors of hack and leak operations that would involve Hunter Biden. This is according to Yoel Roth. So the FBI was preparing for Hunter Biden to be exposed, his laptop to go public. They knew it. Were they spying on Tucker Carlson's phone? What were they doing? How did they know? Were they spying on the New York Post? During these weekly meetings, the disclosure signed by Roth reads, federal law enforcement agencies communicated that they were expecting a hack and leak operation. I was told in these meetings, Roth went on, that the intelligence community expected the individuals associated with the political campaigns to be subject to hacking attacks, and the materials obtained through the hacking attacks would likely be disseminated on social media platforms, including Twitter. These expectations of hack and leak operations were discussed, though throughout 2020, I learned in these meetings that the hack and leak operation would involve Hunter Biden. The FBI knew that the Hunter Biden information was going to drop. They were prepared for it, and they had already constructed a framework of how to discredit real reporting protected by the First Amendment and to psyop the hell out of you. Watch the product of their work. You almost have to sit back. You almost have to sit back and be awe-inspired at the banality of the evil of these people. It's like watching communist China, okay? I hate communist China. I hate their intelligence apparatus on their own people, their social credit system, but they can shut you down in the snap of a finger. You scan your little app and it goes yellow. You are no longer allowed in your apartment building. You're no longer allowed to buy food. You're no longer allowed to sell, trade. It's like the Book of Revelations over there in China. That's why they want to export that to the rest of the world. You have to stand in awe of the banality of the evil of it. You have to stand and be in shock at how well planned. Evil doesn't sleep, remember that. How well planned this all was. They were preparing for it. We weren't ready, man. We were on a different playing field. We were doing checkers. They were doing chess, 3D chess, underwater chess, upside down, different dimensional chess. And this is the result of that. Look at how efficiently they are able to get into the mouthpieces that were on TV at the time, record viewership, by the way, for these broadcasts at the time, and were able to manipulate the words and the language around this leak. This is what a PSYOP looks like, ladies and gentlemen. The Russian disinfo supercut. Go.
A really fishy story. The Post claimed that the emails were found on a laptop computer that was brought to a repair shop in Delaware in the spring of 2019.
The FBI is now investigating whether those alleged Hunter Biden emails are actually connected to a larger foreign intelligence operation.
They may be related to a foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence operation.
For all we know, these emails are made up.
The information found on the laptop may be part of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Part of a Russian disinformation effort.
Described by many intelligence experts as having hallmarks.
All the hallmarks
of a Russian
disinformation.
Russian disinformation
campaign.
This is a classic example of the right-wing media
50
machine.
former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
This is classic Trump. We have 4 days left, and all of a sudden there's a laptop. There's overwhelming evidence that from the intelligence community that the Russians are engaged.
I still think that the stories from the fall about your son Hunter were Russian disinformation and a smear campaign, like you said.
Yes. I know you'd ask it. I have no response. It's another smear campaign. It's the last-ditch effort in this desperate campaign to smear me and my family. The vast majority of the intelligence people have...
What do we know? We know that Twitter met regularly with federal law enforcement. We know that Facebook met regularly with federal law enforcement. Joe Rogan podcast, Mark Zuckerberg said flat out, we censored the Hunter Biden laptop story at the order of the FBI, at the direction of the FBI. This is the largest scandal in American political history. Watergate has nothing on this. People should be incensed. People should be furious, and it doesn't stop there. The train has no brakes. Elon Musk is promising that there is much more hot, spicy, molten lava to come. He also says that he's not suicidal. Elon Musk, what a legend. On Twitter Spaces on Saturday night, Elon Musk addressed questions about the Twitter files drop and the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story and what users can expect next. More smoking guns. Musk pledged transparency to restore faith. God, what a breath of fresh air. Near the end of the call, Musk joked that he was not suicidal, saying, if I commit suicide, it's not real. Listen.
Most important thing, you don't have any suicidal thoughts, do you, Elon?
I do not have any suicidal thoughts. If I committed suicide, it's not real.
What did we do to deserve Elon Musk? What did we do? We don't deserve him. We don't deserve him. Man, what a legend. This is in reference to ideas that information that reveal the power of dangerous, powerful people will result in you being permanently suspended from life. See Jeffrey Epstein. The conversation with Musk was surprisingly candid. He answered questions while on a flight. He addressed what led him to buy Twitter. He said, my biological neural net decided that it would be important to buy Twitter. Is there any way to get a sneak peek of what we can expect next in the Twitter files drop? They said that part 2 will be coming out soon. It has not yet come out. We breathlessly wait for it. It's going to come vis-a-vis Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss, according to Elon Musk. Episode 2, he said, would cover information from and after the 2020 presidential election. Speaking with ALX, the executive producer of this show, Elon Musk said that he would be restoring many of the accounts that had the DNC request deletion. Again, ladies and gentlemen, ALX had his account deleted for sharing a meme. In fact, I think we have now the James Wood tweet that got him banned. We have the actual asset here. We pulled it. I think we're ready to toss it up on screen. James Wood. There it is. You can see it in black and white. from the DNC. This is Matt Taibbi. In case you're wondering what this image is, Matt Taibbi, he's the reporter. He's releasing this email. The text is the email, and you can see James Wood right there at the very bottom. I grabbed one. I defer to safety on this high-profile second one. James Wood, high profile because he's a famous actor. This is them banning James Wood. When James Wood said that he is going to sue them into the Stone Age, he's going to take all of his money, he's going to sue the DNC, this is going to be evidence asset A in that lawsuit. Evidentiary asset A. This is it. There you go. Now, ALX, the best that we can understand, he's back on Twitter, and everyone needs to go follow ALX. But the best that we can understand it, ALX shared a meme of Xi Jinping supporting Joe Biden, and he got the ban hammer. And there's presumably going to be someone from the DNC or Joe Biden's team demanding that the executive producer of this show get banned from Twitter. ALX had an opportunity to ask the new CEO of Twitter about this on Twitter Spaces. Went like this.
I was just wondering if all accounts that were requested to have things taken down by the DNC and by the Biden campaign, even ones that have nothing to do with the Hunter Biden laptop, if they will also be released.
I mean, I think this is like whatever Stasi files or, Truth and Reconciliation. Like Nelson Mandela would say, it's if you want reconciliation, there must be truth. So that's the intent here. Intent here is to just make it clear what was happening and provide transparency about the past, and in doing so, to build trust about the future.
So, do you think that Twitter could also have an automatic notification if anyone was, say, if their account was requested content taken down? Do you think there could be something like that implemented?
Yeah. I mean, you mean if if a government has a takedown request or something like that?
Or with James Woods, for example, how his content was, they requested his content be removed. Say if that happened from the Biden campaign.
Yeah, I think both past and future requests should be made public. And Sunshine is a great disinfectant. If they request content takedowns that are embarrassing, then they'll be less likely to request those content takedowns.
So that's a wonderful point there, again, made by ALX. We encourage you to go follow him. He has 200,000 plus followers on Twitter. Let's get that boy to 1 million. Ladies and gentlemen, no one deserves it more. ALX back, the revenge arc, beautiful, and the solution here, of course, is to make sure that the sunlight transparency of this moment embarrass everyone. And that's what Elon Musk said to ALX there. If we expose the people who were openly demanding censorship, and I want to ask you a question here in the audience. You probably don't like leftists. You're probably not a huge fan of communists. However, there's not a single communist on earth that I would ever go to our contacts at Facebook or Twitter, which we have, by the way. We've done this business for a long time. We know people who work at these companies. We know people who work at Facebook. We know people who work at YouTube. We know people who work at Twitter. We know people who work inside the DNC. Never once, never in my wildest fever dreams, sitting there shaking and shivering with COVID. I've gotten COVID probably 50 times. Sitting there shaking and shivering. Never in the wildest moments of my demented brain have I ever thought, why don't I call up? Let's call up Susie, who works at Facebook, and make sure that the guy that made fun of me gets the ban hammer. What petulant, low testosterone, low T, needle dick energy from these people. In case you're wondering if you're actually fighting Marxism, you are. And the Marxists get away with murder. Metaphorically and literally here on this platform, Nick Sandmann, who's of course the, you have to assume the multi-millionaire after multiple settlements with major corporate news companies over the slandering of him simply peacefully wearing a MAGA hat as a 16-year-old on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Nick Sandmann asked Elon Musk to release the hidden Twitter files on death threats permitted against him. Former Covenant High School student Nick Sandmann asked a new Twitter owner, Elon Musk, to release any files related to the platform allowing death threats against him while he was a teenager. I'm working this all. As I'm watching this all play out, correction there, forgive me. As I'm watching this all play out, I'm wondering if Elon Musk has any hidden Twitter files relating to what went on here, Sandman says. Let's be clear. Under the watch of Vijaya, they allowed these legal threats when I was 16 years old. Sandman shared screenshots of multiple verified Twitter accounts calling on people to burn down Sandman's high school, throw MAGA kids into wood chippers, and so on. Twitter allowed these death threats. It seems like there would be a massive lawsuit against this for endangerment, of course, of a minor. These are against the Twitter terms of service. Nick Sandman has standing here, as a lawyer who spoke to us this weekend put it. Sandman would eventually file defamation suits against multiple media outlets for their original portrayal of the incident, resulting in the settlement. Massive settlement. You remember some Native American activist banging a drum in his face, right? And they cast Sandman, who's an innocent 16-year-old who did nothing there, as some type of evil, malevolent racist, and they got sued and lost horribly. Most of these sites settled. I think CNN settled with Sandman. I think the Washington Post settled with Sandman. I think NBC News settled with Sandman. Yo, it's a wild, wild day out there, and I hope that Elon Musk is openly communicating with our team, responding to our tweets, talking with our people. We are the show that is directly communicating with Elon Musk. Ladies and gentlemen, we will win. We will fight for you. Nick Sandman deserves to have these answers. Elon Musk slams, next story here, slams far-left New York Times for failing to cover Twitter's Hunter Biden censorship revelations. How do you know that what they're doing is effective and true? They wouldn't need censorship if we weren't effective. They wouldn't need these tools. They wouldn't need to hide it if we weren't changing hearts and minds and moving the populace against them. They wouldn't need these tools if we weren't winning. They wouldn't. These tools are dangerous for them to deploy. They have the potential to backfire horribly. And we're going to cover what Republicans are about to do to Twitter and the executives and to these 51 intel agents that signed this disgraceful letter saying that this is the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. This is a dangerous job. They're ratcheting up the pressure in society and has the potential for blowback, and now that blowback is here. They never counted on Elon Musk buying Twitter. Why would they take such risks? They take these risks and they do these things and they break these laws and they break their oaths because we're winning. This show is winning. You and me, we are winning. They want to demoralize you. It's a tactic. Don't let them. The reason that corporate media has not run to cover this bombshell story is because, one, they are complicit, and two, they know that if people know the truth and if they give platform to the truth, then they're doomed. They're doomed. So they're continuing the cover-up. Elon Musk responded to this tweet from the weekend. This tweet from Clay Travis of Outkick the Coverage. There's not a single article on the New York Times app about the Twitter release. That's because the New York Times has become, for all intents and purposes, an unregistered lobbying firm for far-left politicians. Good. And good riddance. We're covering the thousands and thousands of layoffs at these organs, these media organs. CNN went through and laid off thousands of people this year. Another huge tranche of layoffs just this last Friday. And NBC News, ABC News following along. Meanwhile, our show grows apace. And so we say thank you from Team Benny. Elon Musk nuking the New York Times. It's amazing, ladies and gentlemen. These people don't have audiences. They don't have followers. They don't have people who tune in. They are simply corporate apparatchiks. They don't. It's everything they say gets ratioed. If they had the power, they wouldn't need to use these censorship tools to protect it. What little they have left. So let us continue. Let us continue to do this work. Elon Musk saying essentially that they are doing a blackout now, just like they did on the Hunter Biden laptop story to begin with. They're using the same tactics. It's not going to work. And they're going to be exposed. It's called the Streisand effect. Barbara Streisand didn't like the fact that somebody took a photo of her house once. She tweeted out that you shouldn't, ironic that she used Twitter, that you shouldn't be sharing this photo. And of course, that caused everyone to look even harder. The fact that the tech platforms are censoring this is going to cause people to look at it even harder. And the fact that the New York Times and CNN didn't want to report on this from this weekend causes us to go in hard on the paint, ladies and gentlemen. And that paint's going to be a brutal body check from Republicans who are promising in Congress, subpoena, preserve your documents, we're coming for you, baby. Google, Facebook should be investigated after Twitter files Hunter Biden story, Rep. McCarthy. Steve Scalise, who's the number 2 most powerful person in Congress right now, the GOP whip Steve Scalise, a man who was riddled with bullets, nearly lost his life because of left-wing disinformation campaigns against him that radicalized a Bernie Sanders supporter and volunteer to go take, I don't actually know what kind of firearm he used, but he went and he shot up a field of Republicans. This man, radicalized by the left, Steve Scalise, is going to have the last laugh here. He still has the bullet holes to prove exactly how dangerous the left-wing media apparatus can be. Steve Scalise saying, preserve your damn documents. We're coming for you, Twitter. Go.
Is big tech going to be investigated once the Republicans take the House?
Absolutely. This is something we've laid down as a marker months ago. We told the big tech companies, save your documents. There are things we've been asking them for months, for over years, that they haven't been sharing with us. And Elon Musk has been exposing what happened at Twitter. They're not the only ones that have been doing this. But the Hunter Biden laptop story was probably the most high profile that we've seen of many other stories that were suppressed when the New York Post put the story out there. Go back and look about 2 years ago, all of the mainstream media calling that story disinformation, saying it was part of lies that are being told by the right.
The administration still.
And it turned out to be a true story, and they blocked the New York Post. I actually was able to question Jack Dorsey in a hearing that we had about this. And he admitted that they shouldn't have done it. The problem is when you look internally, there were a lot of discussions. There were these ministers of truth, and a lot of these tech agencies have them. That's kind of translation is somebody that wants to suppress conservative speech. And so all under the name of truth, they were shutting down stories that were true because it might have hurt Joe Biden's campaign. That's not what they're there for. That's surely not what they were telling people on the outside, and it's going to get exposed.
Again, you guys know my stance on this. I was, in theory, against Kevin McCarthy's leadership because he didn't win. And if you don't win, and he barely won the House, right? If you don't win, that means no strategy moving forward. I am totally against Ronna McDaniel becoming GOP chairwoman to continue to just deprive and to fail and to tactically retreat as a party. Get the Romneys the hell out of the apparatus of this party. Those people are a cancer. No more Romneys. I am totally against Mitch McConnell. However, I am starting to see some real daylight here with McCarthy. And there's some real active campaigns. We take a lot of calls. There's some active campaigns against McCarthy. There's campaigns for McCarthy. Let's see what the man does. I will care about action. We are an offense-oriented show, and these actions are really good. McCarthy saying on Sunday that he will have an investigation into big tech companies like Google and Facebook censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story. If you want to prevent it from happening, again, you have to extract pain from the people who did it. McCarthy, who's running to become the House Speaker, Republicans take control of the lower chamber in January, said that security clearances for the intelligence officials should be removed if they were using their positions to influence politics. We start looking at Facebook and Google. Man, this is the way to talk, baby. The California Republicans, the California Republican, Kevin McCarthy, who wants to be Speaker of the House, had this to say on Mornings with Maria. Pretty based. Go.
I mean, what about these 51 intelligence officials claiming they're intelligence officials? John Brennan, James Clapper, signing their name to say that the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation when we knew otherwise. John Ratcliffe on my show saying that's absolutely not true.
Exactly. Also put in there Adam Schiff. Another change you're going to get. Adam Schiff will no longer be on the Intel committee when I become Speaker. I promised that more than 2 years ago. Why? Another example that he lied about this. You see a Clapper and Brennan using their intelligence clearance to lie to the American public. What Elon Musk has been able to do, now we know why the White House wanted to fight so strongly against him owning Twitter. All he's done is put out the truth. Now we need to start looking at Facebook, at Google. These now have become arms of the Democratic Party, arms of the Biden administration. But they also used the intel community as well to lie to the American public. Should those people keep their clearances? Should those people still be allowed to have information? If they're going to be political individuals, then no, they should not. And this is just the the tip of the iceberg of what we need to investigate.
Yeah.
Why do I live in Florida? I live in Florida because of will to power. I like Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is a will to power guy. Okay? So will to power means you were elected, and as a representative of me, your responsibility, your sacred responsibility, is to fight, to bare-knuckle brawl, rules of the jungle, jungle law. You are going to bloody or kill the things that threaten me. So if Disney, some rat company, some animated rat company, comes around trying to be predators to my children and groom my kids, you're going to brawl with them and crush them and break their neck. And that's why I like Florida. That's called will to power. That's why Ron DeSantis wins with the plurality of Democrat voters, actually. You know, I'm down here in Tampa. You know how many people I know that are Democrats that voted for DeSantis? They call themselves DeSantis Democrats. They've never voted for a Republican ever in their lives. This is a real phenomenon in my neighborhood. It's a legitimate phenomenon in my neighborhood. Ladies and gentlemen, DeSantis Democrats, for real. This stuff is for real down here. Will to power. People love it. So you know that I've been against McCarthy. But let me tell you something. If McCarthy comes through and starts brawling, I'm going to jump to a story here on vaccine mandates. He's going to eliminate the vaccine mandates for the military. That's pretty dope. He's going to, like, from day one, he allowed James Comer, and this all happens essentially with the allowance of the speaker, allowed James Comer to announce a criminal investigation into literal Joe Biden. James Comer comes out day one that the GOP lost the majority. Like, we're going after not Hunter. Nobody cares about the dumb, naked, crackhead kid. We're going after Joe. Okay. It makes a guy like me sit back. Okay. And the thing you'll always have with me is I will be honest with you about my thought process. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you about my thought process. I'll tell you when I'm wrong. I'll tell you when I'm right. And I'll give you the evidence as to why maybe McCarthy, I don't know. Maybe McCarthy, I'm not close with him. I don't talk with him on the phone. But let's look at the man's actions. If he's using will to power to brawl for you and bare-knuckle bloody our opponents and to excruciatingly use and exert force and pain, which is all that you understand. Politics is not for our better angels. Politics is a bloody war. It's a game. It's called a culture war. It's a battle. James Comer knows this. This guy's super based. Day one, he's out there being like, we're going to investigate the Bidens for child trafficking. How about that, Joe Biden? How about put that on a bumper sticker? Yeah. Joe Biden had to take a couple extra, Joe Biden had to run quickly to the shower, pull his dog's tail, break his foot after watching this press conference. James Comer back at it again, saying, preserve your documents, Vijaya Gade, and people at Twitter who assisted in the interference of the 2020 election by banning this story. Base James Comer, take it away.
No, what we focused on were a lot of these emails from 2020. What about 21 and 22?
More to come there, Maria. We are pretty confident that this wasn't an isolated incident. What we've seen thus far are emails from the Biden campaign telling the Twitter that, that wasn't a true story, which that was a lie. We know now it was a true story with what the contents of the laptop are. What we haven't gotten to yet is 21 and 22 during the Biden administration. We're pretty confident that numerous officials within our federal government have been communicating on behalf of the Biden White House to Twitter as to what they can censor and not, as to who they can ban and who they cannot. So this raises a whole host of ethical issues. The 2020 stuff that he released with the Democratic National Committee on the laptop story, that raises campaign finance violations. There are a lot of problems for the Biden administration and the Biden campaign right now.
Will you be able to subpoena government officials?
We're going to do everything we can to get to the truth. We believe that Elon Musk has a lot of evidence. Part of what I've said when I took over the oversight committee is we're going to base everything on evidence. Unlike Adam Schiff, we're not just going to be on fishing expeditions. When we go down a certain path, it's because we have credible evidence. And what Elon Musk is doing for the American people and for Republican oversight is that he's providing evidence.
James Comer is the base bomb. We're gonna make a base bomb. It's gonna be a bomb that drops. And it's gonna be like boost. We're gonna make an effect. It's gonna be Super cool. And we will play it after this next story. This is a very important story. Congress, White House consider repealing military vaccine mandate. This is because of Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy went in and met with Biden and said, we ain't going to pass any military budgets. You're doing your little slush fund, send all the money to the guy who bans churches. You see Zelensky's banning the Russian Orthodox Church in Ukraine, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Zelensky banned a church. He's shut down media outlets. This is not democracy. We're funding a dictator. Zelensky's a dictator. So you want to send all this money to a guy in tracksuit in Ukraine who bans churches and bans media outlets to protect democracy. We have nothing to say about China. You ain't going to get any money from us. You're not going to get any budgets from us unless you get rid of this vaccine mandate. This is like the first part of a will to power action. Good. The vaccine mandate is like, the fact that we're doing that to our young men in the service and women in the service, we're making that a prerequisite. We're making that like a brainwash prerequisite. We're not allowing for religious exemptions. Yo, you want to weaken the American military, that's how you do it. So apparently McCarthy's going to be victorious here, which would be a huge victory for the base. Watch.
That there's a movement right now, for example, to remove the mandate for the vaccine in the military. You spoke with the president about that.
I did. I had a meeting with the president. I laid out very clearly what the difference will be with the new Republican majority. And we're working through what is the NDA, the National Defense Bill. We will secure lifting that vaccine mandate on our military, because what we're finding is they're kicking out men and women that have been serving. They're not meeting their recruitment. I had a conversation with the Secretary of Defense even last night. But come next week, you'll see that we've been able to. And that's the first victory of having a Republican majority. And we'd like to have more of those victories, and we should start moving those now.
So just to be clear, you're saying in the NDAA, which will drop next week, the vaccine mandate for the military will be lifted?
Yes, it will. Otherwise, the bill will not move. I've been very clear with the president. The president, worked with me on this. This is the first sign of having divided government. You got some compromise here, and we've got something that the Republicans have been working very hard, and a number of Democrats too, trying to find success. But one-party rule would never allow that to go forward.
Let me know in the comments section, are you someone who's been discharged from the military? Do you know someone who's been discharged because of the vaccine requirement in the military? Totally and completely violating your bodily autonomy, totally and completely violating the First Amendment, which is the theme of this show, the violations of the First Amendment via our government. The First Amendment protects your right to a religion. That's the purpose of the first law in this country, and they're not granting religious exemptions. So far, the Army has discharged 1,800 service members, the Navy over 2,000, and the Marine Corps over 3,700 based Marines, baby. Devil dogs go in for refusing the vaccine. Whoa. It's going to be resolved. Apparently, the Pentagon imposed a service-wide requirement, August 2021. COVID-19 virus swept across U.S. defense leaders call troops' vaccination status a readiness issue. Smith said the policy is outdated at this point in time. It doesn't make sense to have a policy from 2021. It's a discussion that I'm open to having. So you're starting to see the facade break down here, and you're starting to see people really come to terms with truth on this issue. Just as people are coming to terms with truth on the issue of Paul Pelosi and the attack on Paul Pelosi. What the hell happened there? What we know now, and again, the theme of this show is the cover-up tells you what the truth is. The distance between conspiracy theory to practical reality, facts and evidence-based reality is approximately 6-month event horizon. It's narrowing down to like 3-month event horizon, okay? Conspiracy theory to agreed upon reality. About 6 months. So what are you seeing now with Paul Pelosi? Well, you're seeing a 2-month event horizon from the Paul Pelosi attack with a hammer in San Francisco to Paul Pelosi appearing yesterday at the Kennedy Center Honors with Nancy Pelosi. He was wearing a Michael Jackson black glove. I think we have a photo of Paul Pelosi. Can we scroll through the article and show them the photo of Paul Pelosi? Paul Pelosi was there yesterday, his first public appearance with Nancy Pelosi. There he is. So we have now Michael Jackson. So he's got a black glove. He's got a black hat on. This is a Michael Jackson ensemble there. Paul Pelosi there on the right of Nancy Pelosi in that little box. So he's out and about, smiling, chilling. Nobody is denying that Paul Pelosi was attacked with a hammer. They have it on camera. What people are trying to figure out is who the hell is the guy who attacked him? Why was he in the house? What's going on? Why didn't Paul Pelosi, according to two sources now, and according to the body camera footage, why didn't Paul Pelosi declare an emergency and flee to the police officers when they opened his door? Why did the federal government write down lies inside of their report? Because this is a federal issue, because Nancy Pelosi is a federal, high-ranking federal official. They turned this into an FBI DOJ issue. Why did they lie in their report? These are insane questions. There's body camera footage of this. According to the body camera footage, we now know this from multiple people who have reviewed the literal footage of the Paul Pelosi attack. Again, not denying that he was attacked, not denying that the guy named Peter DePepe. Yeah, the attacker. He's a nudist. He's a Green Party member. He's an illegal immigrant. He's a psychedelic drug abuser. He's a psychotic neurotic. He was caught on camera breaking into the home. And then on camera, Paul Pelosi is like David DePepe. Sorry, guys. David DePepe, whatever. Not a cartoon frog. David DePepe standing there on the video camera. Paul Pelosi walks back and hangs out with him on camera. Doesn't declare an emergency and just wanders back in. Now, they were so scared of this information getting out to you, much like the Hunter Biden laptop. The Hunter Biden laptop of the 2022 election was the Paul Pelosi attack. They needed to ban not only you from understanding the nature of the attack, which is very strange. There's more questions than there are answers here. They needed you to simply accept the ball gag that is strapped around your mouth of, hey, this was a MAGA Republican attack. They went with that narrative. They had zero evidence of it. Zero evidence. And they just went with it. Joe Biden went with it. Nancy Pelosi went with it. And then nothing about this story any longer. Reporters who dared report about this, the true strange happenings, let's just call it what they are. It's extremely curious. The cops show up at Paul Pelosi's house after a call to 911. Paul Pelosi called David DePape a friend, and then Paul Pelosi went wandering back into the house, didn't run into the hands of the cops. They banned the reporter. They delete the report. Luckily, we, of course, saved the report, and we'll play it for you now.
Good morning. When officers arrived here at the Pelosi home exactly a week ago today, they initially didn't have any idea exactly what was going on. They knew they had a high priority call on their hand. What was unclear, what was happening inside the property just behind me.
This morning, Paul Pelosi is home, back at the house that became a crime scene a week ago today. NBC News learning new details about the moments police arrived. Sources familiar with what unfolded in the Pelosi residence now revealing when officers responded to the high-priority call, they were seemingly unaware they'd been called to the home of the Speaker of the House. After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi. The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or try to leave his home, but instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant and away from police. It's unclear if the 82-year-old was already injured or what his mental state was, say sources. According to court documents, when the officer asked what was going on, defendant smiled and said everything's good. But instantaneously, a struggle ensued as police clearly saw David DePape strike Paul Pelosi in the head with a hammer. After tackling the suspect, officers rushed to Mr. Pelosi, who was lying in a pool of blood.
Okay, so based on that reporting, that was deleted, right, because it went against the official narrative, and it could have cost Democrats votes or seats in the midterm. So they had to delete that and punish the reporter. This is the extreme power of corporate media. We saved that video because that man, that reporter, had spoken with people who have seen the evidence. What is the evidence? A blog post on 4chan? No, the evidence is the police footage. Let's do a dramatic reenactment of what happened. According to the reports from NBC News fact checkers, multiple NBC News outlets, by the way, because NBC News Local in San Francisco is now reporting this exact same thing. They have the body camera footage. You're not going to defeat it. Hello, this is the police. Paul Pelosi answers the door, says, "What's up?" and then walks back into the home and stands next to his attacker. What? What? Then the two of them have a fight for the hammer. Paul Pelosi gets injured, obviously. We don't want that to happen. We don't celebrate that. We don't want anyone to be hurt. But what the hell is going on? Why would Paul Pelosi walk back in, and then why would the police say, "Hey, is everything okay?" And they all go, "Hey, it's fine." That's according to the report. It's on the camera. Yo, everything's good. Paul Pelosi standing there with a hammer. The Dave DePape standing there with a hammer. Nudist, Green Party, illegal immigrant. Plus Paul Pelosi in a Michael Jackson outfit. I don't know what he was wearing. People say he was wearing his underwear. How do we know what is true? As Elon Musk said to ALX, truth and reconciliation begins with truth. We must have a shared truth. That's how societies operate. Societies decay and decline and destroy themselves if you do not have a shared truth and a shared set of principles upon which we all function. So whether it's the Hunter Biden laptop story or whether it's the David DePape story, whether it's the hammer attack, we must have truth. We must be able to understand what reality is. It could be embarrassing for one side. It could hurt one side politically. That is the way that we have an operational republic, is if there is shared understanding and truth. Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. The people who are trying to cover up truth or trying to hide truth they are the enemy. They are creating dysfunction. They are creating demoralization in our society. They are creating people who have broken brains. They are creating mass formation psychosis. And they are the beneficiaries of being able to tell the smooth brains exactly how to think. And so we must defeat them. And that's the purpose of this show. Along with, of course, our priorities on this show, which are God, family, and country. Ladies and gentlemen, God, family, country. The purpose of this show is to fight. The purpose of this show is offense. The purpose of this show is to continue to take, hopefully with a little bit of entertainment, take from the security apparatuses and federal law enforcement apparatuses and mind control apparatuses of the left and to begin to plant the seeds of truth. And ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of work to do. But we're going to be joyful and happy while we do it. And we're going to be thankful because of you. And it is the Christmas season. And so we will most especially be remembering the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And we'll be remembering the reason why we are here in this world. There's always been disinformation. There's always been predations on children. Go look at the story. The Christ story is like, the birth of Jesus Christ is not like if you read the Gospels, it's not what it's portrayed as. Man, they went through and they killed all the babies. It was a tough time. You had to flee to Egypt. I mean, this is bad news, man. This is bad news. This world is a sunken place. The way to fix it, the way to fix it in Christ's time is the same way that we fix it now. We speak truth. We stand for truth. We stand for unwavering, universal moral principles, among them freedom, among them God, among them family, and among them liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And that's what we're going to pursue on this show. We say thank you and God bless you. And we'll see you tomorrow. My name is Benny Johnson. This is The Benny Show.